And the IPL is well and truly back 1 week into the tournament. Welcome to the shiny side. I'm your host, Faris, and we have with us from Gurgaon, Vivek. How's it going, Vivek?
Very well, Faris. Thank you very much. Nice to be here again.
Yeah, and well, the IPL is underway. It's been a week now. We haven't done a show on the IPL as yet, but what's your take so far? It looks like as explosive and colorful as ever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's amazing, actually. I mean, it is India's biggest event, if you
Yeah.
just think about it from a marketing point of view, from a entertainment point of view. I think there's no doubt it's a huge feature, and people have been looking forward to it. I think what was nice was the women's
Yeah.
tournament as the precursor, and there were a lot of firsts in that, right? I mean, equal pay for the players, and
Yeah.
then there was a strong viewership for the tournament as well. RCB finally
RCB
managed to
winning a
win that.
title, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
that counts for
that,
something.
a lot of firsts. I think that was interesting. And then I think the first week has been
Yeah.
pretty power-packed, some close games, big hitting, all the usual IPL
I would
stuff.
say in the first weekend alone, it came alive. I think the first weekend we saw some really good games also.
Yeah,
Um, but
absolutely.
I, but I guess starting off very quickly, so what we're going to look at some of the recent games. And also yesterday we had Sunrisers Hyderabad beating Mumbai by about 31 runs. And Hyderabad, it was a bizarre game because Hyderabad were batting first after being put in. Travis Head scored 62 of 24 balls. Abhishek Sharma 60 of 30. Klaasen went crazy. They made 277, which is still a good score in ODI cricket, right? And they made 277 and lost only by 30 odd runs. What did you make of that game? Was it? I mean, I think the first innings was Mumbai's bowling. Was it condition? Was it Mumbai's bowling? How did you get to 277 and a T20? I still can't make sense of it.
Yeah, I mean, insane, right? I mean, 23 runs more, and they've breached the 300 mark.
Yeah,
Probably will happen this tournament. I
yeah,
think the way things are going. No, I mean, fantastic. I think Klaasen has been in top form.
yeah.
I think all of the matches so far. I think he's the most impactful batsman, and Travis Head as well. No, absolutely. I think 277, and then you win only by 31
Yeah.
runs. It's
So they,
pretty crazy.
yeah. I mean, this would be have been a pretty close, like high scoring ODI game 15 years ago, if you look at the scorecard, right? But today it's a T20. And if you look at, speaking of, you mentioned Travis Head and Klaasen, right? So if you look at Sunrisers Hyderabad, they seem to have probably the strongest foreign contingent because they have guys like
Yeah.
Glenn Phillips, Marco Janssen, Hasaranga will join the squad, all probably not making it to the 11. And on paper, their local guys look a little weak comparatively, to be honest. But I think so far, some of the local guys have stood up and they lost the first game, but they look like a fairly strong team and led by one of the newer captains on the block in world cricket. But again, Pat Cummins is no stranger to cricket, and he's doing quite well. He's
Yeah.
never captained T20 before, but he's doing quite well so far as captain.
Yeah, no, obviously, very smart captain, as we
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Yeah.
understands Indian conditions very well. We'll never forget. No, I think SRH is, if you see, they were a bit of a patched up team over the last 3-4 years. It
Yeah.
was that Deccan Challengers and
Yeah.
repackaged. They had their ups, and I think this is probably they're going to be one of their stronger years.
Yeah.
Definitely strong
And I
start.
think we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Mumbai Indians, Hardik Pandya, new
Yes.
captain. So Hardik obviously left for Gujarat Titans a couple of years ago, won the title as captain, finished runner-up last year, and this time he's back. But I think the fact that how it was, like in my view, even Gaikwad has taken over from Dhoni, right? But I think the way they announced it, it said Dhoni stepping down for Gaikwad. But I think Mumbai Indians sent out a press release a month or two ago saying Hardik would be captain. So I think it's really divided a lot of the Mumbai Indian fans because Rohit is again has demigod status within for followers of Mumbai Indians, and the fact that they haven't started well. Uh, Pandya must be, I know it's just 2 games, but he must be under some kind of pressure for sure right now.
No, absolutely. And I think the drama's out there for everyone to see. Um, I think the drama has been also a feature in the first week, right? I think the most memorable moments are Hardik screaming at Rohit Sharma to go field at
Yes,
long
yes.
on.
And gesturing like that,
That
right?
was
Like that was going viral, yes.
exactly. He's not one for very, I mean, he's a fairly aggressive
Yeah.
personality, right? So it comes out that way. And then I think the other memorable one was the Chennai team looking at Dhoni for the DRS, and he
Yeah.
points to Gaikwad and he's going to decide. So, no, I think it's a very interesting other dynamics there. But I think Mumbai Indians clearly see it can't be so straightforward, right? I mean, you had Hardik leave, because so that he could take the captaincy position. Then he does well, he wins the
Yeah.
tournament, comes back. So obviously somewhere, and when he came back, he wasn't immediately announced the captain. So
True.
it was clear that he's come back because he's being assured of this captaincy. At that time, it was thought that this will be their succession plan because Rohit Sharma obviously will at some point leave. Nobody expected that time. And then the very next
Yeah.
IPL, he
Yeah.
would be given the
Yeah.
job. While Rohit is still very much, I mean, he's one of the best captains in the IPL. He's also in good form. So it changes the dynamics. Surya Kumar and Bumrah were not happy at the
Yeah.
time. That was expressed as well.
Because they were the
Uh,
guys next in waiting, supposedly. Yeah.
Exactly. Bumrah has actually even on a few occasions captained the test team. So obviously he was looking at something. I'm surprised. I think there was some talk that he would leave, but finally he stayed on. Surya is not in, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as a result of all of this drama, plus, I mean, obviously a couple of close games, you can't say that they've been thrashed or
Yeah.
anything. But yeah, they're at, I think, probably one of the first few times they're actually at the number
Lost.
8 or
Yeah.
so, right?
Yeah.
For the
And
first
and
two
you know,
games. So
I guess the fact also is that Mumbai Indians is a high profile team. You can screw up in a
yeah,
couple of games for like Sunrisers Hyderabad, even, or for Delhi Capitals, and no one cares. But when you're doing this for Mumbai Indians, it's the talk of the town, right? So that's just how I guess
yeah.
it plays out.
More pressure, right? You got
Yeah.
Sachin Tendulkar there as the batting coach. He's there in
Yeah.
the box of every game. We got Neeta Ambani watch. Obviously,
Exactly.
the profile, everything is
Yeah.
different. And I think this Hardik Rohit, there's a bit of a, Indians, there's an interesting perspective that as India, as much as we have changed in our in the personalities we idolize on earlier, it was, if you look at Sachin also in the 90s, he made his bat do the talking, but otherwise not an
Yeah.
aggressive
Yeah.
personality, and that was the boldness that connected with India in the 90s. And it was Virat Kohli is much
Yeah.
more in your face, super talented, does all this stuff, but yeah, he's also there to make a point with his presence. And under that era, you had folks like Hardik come out also, very
Yeah.
aggressive and all. Rohit Sharma has not been as much like that, but now you're seeing somewhere that there's this. There'll be some folks who are basically saying that Hardik has gotten too arrogant for his own boots,
Yeah.
and then Rohit is the real dude, and some people saying no, it's okay. And this little maybe unnecessary drama.
Yeah.
And I honestly, it's always a responsibility of the management, right? There are always ways to do this. You can always say we are
Yeah.
paving the way for Emma in the
I really
future.
think they mishandled it. I really think the communication and the announcement
Yeah.
was mishandled terribly, right? And I think Chennai has
Uh-huh.
shown us how to do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always this, right? I mean, like, unfortunately, and that's what has happened,
Yeah.
And I'm sure somewhere it disrupts things in the
Yeah.
team. It cannot be so
And
easy,
just
right?
and just like looking at a slight deep dive into yesterday's game, right? So yesterday, when Sunrise Hyderabad were going for it, they were 113 in 8 overs for two. That's the level of playing. But Bumrah was only given one. Hardik Pandya has been opening the bowling for Mumbai, and Bumrah was only bowled 1 over in the first 11. So by the time he came up for his second over, they were sitting at 170 or something, and the game was pretty much done. So I mean, I think there were a couple of pretty basics, and it's not just in hindsight, right? But when you're going for it, you think you would bring your best bowler on. Especially the fact now is that there's no Bolt, right? He's not fit for these games. So when you don't have Bolt and you don't have a couple of other guys Mumbai would have, you don't really have that strong bowling. So I think backloading Bumrah made sense when you had strong power play bowler. When you don't have that, I'm not sure how smart it is to backload Bumrah so much when you're going for so
Yeah, but
many.
it's hard, no? I mean, because they probably, obviously the conditions were very conducive to
Yeah.
batting. So if you think about that, and these guys had wickets in hand. So if you think about it, if he bowled Bumrah out early on, and if the ball wasn't going to do that much, and playing out Bumrah not getting any wicket per
Yeah.
se, then imagine then that same score, 8 overs, 113, but Bumrah's done 3 or 4 overs.
Yeah.
Then it's not going to be fun. No, they may have actually breached 300
Yeah.
also. So Bumrah is still one of the best and only probably one of the most reliable death bowlers
Of
actually
course.
in an IPL situation.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where that came from. But again, because of this dynamic,
Yeah.
you'll always have
Yeah.
some doubts as to what's actually going
So
on.
moving on to the game, a couple of days earlier, CSK beat Gujarat Titans by 63 runs. Now CSK has won
Yeah.
2 games out of 2. then you have a new captain, and like you said, the team is still looking at Dhoni, not at Gaikwad for the DRS. So I think it's going to take a. I think Gaikwad hasn't taken over the reins as much as Pandya has for sure. I think he's not that kind of guy. Uh, but I think if you look at CSK, otherwise, I think Rachin has fit right in. He's had a couple of really good games. I think he'll be opening the batting for them as long as he's fit every single game. Mustafizo has started well, so I think they're playing very much how Chennai plays. A bowling attack that will probably do well in conditions like the Chepauk. May not do so well on flatter conditions, but they're looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, CSK has made a good start. CSK, if you see, I mean, I think the most consistent team in the IPL. I mean, if you think of the 5 or so, they've won, but then 4 times runner-up, and then the remaining in the top 4. So there have been very rare cases where I think there are 1 or 2 cases where, I mean, they were totally just jaded out through the tournament. So the good start. They're always going to be in contention. You have Dhoni's mind. I think he understands that super well. Yeah, I mean, Rachin is, I mean, amazing. I enjoyed watching him. I mean, it's great that IPL has become this sort of right? Like you have the best players now coming in there and then doing their thing. Great to see Rachin playing the array of strokes that he does.
And moving on to RCB a couple of days ago, after losing the first game to Chennai, they beat Punjab King by 4 wickets. And what was interesting was, so again, Kohli batted really well, and that's not news. Kohli made 77 of 49, his first major knock since he's been missing. But I think what was really interesting here was when Kohli got out, they still needed 48 in 24 balls. And I was watching in the gym and I thought, you know what, the game is done. But DK, Dinesh Karthik, and whoever he's batting with, they actually played really well and finished the game off, which was actually very good for RCB to see, right? Because the thought has been if Kohli gets out or whoever else gets out, then they don't really have the guys to finish it up. And I think so far Faf and Maxwell haven't done much either for them. But the fact that guys in the low order are scoring runs is probably a good sign for them, right? So if Kohli and Faf and Maxwell, the engine room so-called, if they can start putting some runs up, RCB could have a decent tournament as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kohli being in good form is obviously ominous. He played really well. I mean, it wasn't a very chancy innings, and I think he must have done his own confidence a lot of good after a break also, and with the T20 World Cup coming up. So I think that's great. I mean these games are interesting, right? Like this IPL, when you observe the last half an hour of all these games, most of them land up in this situation where 4 overs 50, 5 overs 70 kind of thing. And it's amazing, you can't say it can go both ways. Generally, you would back the batting team if they have more than, say, 5 or 6 wickets in hand. You would do that. But it's not always the case as well. And it turns out being closer than it should. And we've already seen that.
For sure.
Good for DK, obviously very experienced, and he showed his experience in that game.
He's effortlessly swinging between commentary and actually playing a tier 1 league, which is amazing.
Right? Yeah, exactly. He's one day commentating when India is playing international cricket, then suddenly shows up here. That's a good gig to make money, I guess.
He's with Sky and with RCB, 2 pretty big brands as far as cricket's concerned. But
I think go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So I think if you look at some of the other teams which we played a few days ago, I mean, I know Rajasthan Royals in action today, but they beat Lucknow by 20 runs earlier. And Sanju Samson scored a 50 in the first game of the tournament for the 5th consecutive season or something. He has this record where he scores a big 50. He made 82 or 50. They won the game. I think they're also looking pretty good, by the way. So they have Jaiswal now, who's suddenly a household name in the last 12 months. They have Jaiswal and Butler at the top. They have Ashwin and Chahal. So they have tier 1 spinners without actually taking up a foreign quota as well. So Rajasthan Royals not looking too bad. And also, as we speak, they're doing pretty well against Delhi Capitals today as well. So they look like they could be 2 wins out of 2.
They could be. I mean, they're looking, I think, as strong as they ever have. I think it's a team which has always had all this talent, but somehow it loses their way later in the tournament. Because if you see, I mean, Butler obviously extremely destructive, but not been terribly consistent, especially in the latter half of the tournament. Samson, unfortunately, seems to have this sort of decaying curve through the tournament. Scores very heavily in the beginning, then goes off. I mean, one of the most phenomenally talented players. It's a pity actually he's not been
Yeah.
able
No,
to
no, very often I
turn it.
remember the IPL starts and I watch Samsung play a knock in the first week and I'm like, man, I need to watch when he's batting. And then he just fizzles out
Yeah.
after that. Like happens almost every single season.
Unfortunately, but he's one of the best guys to watch on song. I mean, it's brilliant.
Uh,
It's a good team, but I
yeah,
think, I mean, this time maybe Jaiswal, much more
yeah,
confidence. So
yeah.
let's see that
I feel like he's
everything is
been,
strong.
him, like they've invested in him for a while and him becoming, I guess, a mainstream player would probably help them at the top.
Yeah,
Uh, I think this a quick look at Delhi Capitals is not looking so strong, even though they have Wano and Marsh. But I think it's good to see Rishabh Pant back in action, and even though they
Yeah,
lost
I
the
think that
first
was the
game.
other
But
drama. So I mean, besides the Dhoni incident, and then of course the Hardik Pandya, I think the third big moment was very nice to see Rishabh Pant walking back and
yeah,
getting a standing ovation. The crowd was only like what the stadium was half full, but I saw very nice to see everybody like standing up.
yeah,
I mean, huge moment for him individually, right? After
yeah,
what he went through
yes,
to work his way back. I mean, he could have easily just, given up. I mean, money wise also he's made enough, but it's
no, no,
no
no, no.
wonderful to see that spirit and
I
he's
was
back
actually
and
showing a couple of
got a good
people.
18. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I
he's
mean
gonna create a problem as well, right? Like this.
yeah, no, no. I actually was showing a couple of people the pictures of his accident when he walked into bat. Like, this is what the man has come back from, right? So, like, well done to him. A lot of respect for him. Even the fact that he's playing alone is a massive achievement, I think, given where he was that day.
Absolutely. I think it's brilliant. He was okay. Didn't look too out of touch. I mean, 18 he scored off 13 or
Yeah.
so. Let's see. Hopefully, for his own sake, he's fully fit. And like I said, I think it would be great if he puts the Indian selectors under pressure for the T20 World Cup.
Speaking of Indian selectors under pressure for the keeper slot, there's also Lucknow Super Giants, who are led by KL Rahul, of course, who's the other guy in that slot. They're coached by Justin Langer this time, so he just come on board. They've lost their first game, like we said, but interesting to see how they develop. I think the other thing I have to talk about is KKR. Of course, they beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 4 runs in the first game, thanks to an Andre Russell special. He made 64 of
Yeah.
35. Somehow Andre Russell still is going strong, and he also got a couple of wickets, by the way. So I feel like they started well. They have Phil Salt coming in for Jason Roy, who also did well. But it seems a bit like they won their first game. I think they're in action again on the weekend. But it just seems a bit like they're perhaps still too reliant on have Russell and Narayan formula, and then I'm not sure if there's much else. How do you see KKR?
I mean, it's the same formula. Russell is this power hitter. It seems to know his way around. And yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, they've also been largely a very flamboyant
Yeah,
team. I think the team which probably, along with MI, I think makes the most money,
yeah,
franchise-wise, because of all the other stuff going on. Shah Rukh Khan's name attached to it has always
yeah.
created something. But no, I mean, let's see. It's a long way to go, but I don't know if they'll.
I mean,
I don't
it's
think they look as
yeah.
strong as the others.
It's still early at the moment. I mean, I think we've looked at all the teams. I think before we wrap up, I guess my sense at this point, I would say maybe Sunrisers Hyderabad, Chennai, and Rajasthan Royals probably look some of the better teams. I mean, I know it's really early to make a call here, right? 2 out of 14 games, but they
Yeah,
probably
very
look
early. It's too
stronger.
early.
And even who knows? Even Mumbai could come back and start to go on a streak. But
Too
those are
early
the
to
three
say
teams that
anything. I
look. Yeah,
mean, matches also, the one which you just talked about, the 4 runs thing. I mean, honestly, that's one of those games. I mean, it could have gone anyway.
yeah,
And so it's too early. And but I think, like I said, I think the nice thing is that there's, you got these heartwarming moments like Rishabh Pant coming back. You got the women's team, setting that great precedent after quite unceremoniously. N. Srinivasan, who was the ex
yes,
ICC chairman, made this comment about women's place being at home and not on the
yeah.
cricket pitch. Quite crazy. I mean, but I mean, and after that, for the women's IPL to have this, I think that was great. And yeah, some other spice as well, the Hardik Rohit scenario and all.
Yeah,
But
and
so I think everything is
there
in
was a
there.
captain's photo, which for the first time didn't have Kohli, Rohit, or Dhoni. By the way, it actually
Yeah.
looked like something was missing.
But no, clearly Indian cricket is bracing for the future.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
and
In all of these things.
Vivek, also I think apparently in terms of the brand values, etc., Chennai, KKR, and RCB are still the most. Sorry, Chennai, Mumbai, and RCB are the most followed teams. And the fact remains, that more than any other team, Dhoni, Rohit, and Kohli are still draw the biggest crowd. So it'll be interesting to see how these franchises and the teams develop as these guys move on from their careers. Dhoni probably very soon, and the other two also.
Yeah, but you see with IPL, I think Rohit and Kohli, I mean, it seems clear that on the international stage, probably this is their last year.
Last one, yeah.
But IPL, it seems like it can go on and on, right? So,
like Dinesh Karthik.
Yeah, Dinesh Karthik, Dhoni. I mean, Dhoni is what, 42 or something, right?
And what's bizarre is how he can stay match fit enough to play if he's not playing anywhere else, right? It's not even an age thing, but it's like
exactly.
if you only play a tournament a year, how do you do it?
You're not compromising on his keeper slot for sure.
Yeah.
As a batsman, I think he's definitely lost the quickness of his eye and feet. He's not as what it used to be.
But I'd still say he's not making blunders or anything, right? Like he's still pretty good. He's just not the level he used to be at.
No, but if you were to, but we are very sentimental to Dhoni, right? But if you were to look at it, and I'm a big fan of him as well, but if you look at it very critically, to be honest, I don't, as a batsman, he doesn't pull the weight he used to. He was super dangerous. Today, the equivalent of that is far more dangerous. I mean, so it is, I guess there is some impact of that, but his keeping is somewhere else, right? And obviously his presence of mind behind the stumps cannot be underestimated. So even if he's not the captain, I think that think tank of him and Stephen Fleming and all that, I think it still counts for a lot. So
makes sense.
He's gonna keep playing for sure. He loves Chennai.
For those of you watching, if you have a view on who you think is likely to do well, please leave a comment. And while you're at it, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Vivek, thank you for being on.
Sure, absolutely. And one other last point, I just wanted to share, was very nice to see 8 players from Afghanistan this time in the IPL, and in very crucial roles. They're not like in, just the extras or
the backup spinner or anything like that. No.
Yeah, exactly. Opening bowlers, key players. For a long time, it was just Rashid Khan, then Mohammad Nabi, but now 8 players. I mean, that's says a lot about Afghanistan, They
may be more from there than from, say, New Zealand or something, maybe. I don't have the numbers at the top of my head, but probably comparable,
I think that's very nice to see as well. So I think great week, and so lots of good stuff beyond the cricket as well. And if you're here, I think you can feel it. It's for consumer companies, it's the biggest marketing fest.
I know what you mean, right? Because here PSL has suddenly become this marketer's dream, really, right? Because there's a game every day, every prime time. You want to launch something, etc. This is the time to do it.
Campaigns and what does Zomato, Swiggy come up with? What is this? It's all. I mean, that's entertaining as well. It's good stuff. So, I think it's made a good start. And looking forward to the next couple of months.
Good stuff, Vivek. So we'll love to have you on again and later on the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Faris.
And for those of you watching, stay tuned to the shiny side.